Boom. Tell me we're on the straight now. Do you know, this morning, I have to share this with you. This morning, getting ready for work, I usually have a rack of ties in my section of the wardrobe, usually. And I'll reach over and grab one, you know. And this morning, in the process, I have natural honey. I don't do refined sugar anymore. They tell you that refined sugar is the worst possible thing that you could ever add to your dietary repertoire. So I use natural honey. So this morning I was getting ready for work and I reached over and I grabbed the tie, and wouldn't you know it, it's the same tie I had on yesterday. I only realized halfway through the tying that I had worn the same tie yesterday. But here's the thing, I just couldn't be bothered to take it off again and then start looking through the tie racks and then choosing a different tie because I wore this tie yesterday. What a headache. So I simply kept the tie on. Could somebody tell me in the comments, do you feel that way about ties? That if once you tie it, it is such a laborious task. When you do it, bakuti uchite ani die. Ilo no mofwaye imbi. So for those, because I know there's somebody on Facebook, somebody is going to say, Mwewa, isn't that the same tie you had on yesterday? What's going on? That's what you're going to say to me, I know. You know, so this is for those that will notice that this is the same tie I had on yesterday. And guys, here's the thing. It's okay to wear the same tie 2 days in a row, okay? It's not the unpardonable sin. It's a tie, for goodness sake. It's not espionage. Alrighty. Guys, just jump on here real quick if you can. And please sling this broadcast. To people that you think would be interested in this conversation. In the morning when I wake up, hey Bo, I see you. In the morning when I wake up, I have this very croaky, hoarse voice. And the only thing that gets rid of it is if I have a hot drink. Coffee, tea, something. I do this thing where I on my way to work, I drive down Great East Road. There's a new coffee joint, and I know this is going to sound like I'm plugging them, but this is my experience. You know where Indo-Zambia Bank head office is? Right after that, if you're coming into town, you're coming from the airport, you're driving down Great East towards town, towards us here. There's Indo-Zambia Bank on your left. Immediately after Indo-Zambia Bank, there's a gas station there. There's a filling station there. Well, there's a coffee shop there. It's called Meraki. You know Meraki. Everybody knows Meraki. So I stop over there usually, and I grab a hot drink. They have a ginger drink, tea, coffee, something. I don't know what it is. But boy, I tell you, it puts a pep in my step. It makes my heart palpitate. It wakes me up, boy. Wakes me up. All right, let's do this. I'm going to double check here on my monitor if this broadcast is clear, but you can go ahead and tell me if it's clear. I just need to, for my own due diligence, I need to make sure that it's working on this end, and then we can proceed. There's a bank. There's a gas station there. There's a filling station there. Right, we're fine. There's a coffee shop there. It's called Meraki. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Well, guys, let's get into it real quick. A couple of things I want to talk to you about. First of all, my wife and I, my family, we were at home last night and we were watching the news, and we noted with relief, to be honest, we noted with relief that this mob killing, and which is what it is, it's a mob killing. It's not mob justice. I think that's an oxymoron when you say mob justice. Those two words are diametrically opposed. If you've got a mob, there is no justice. It's more apt. It's more apropos. It's more befitting to say mob killing. We noted with great relief that the mob killing of Hellen, what's her name? Kamutumbe. Hellen Kamutumbe. Say her name. Say her name, because from now on, we're not going to refer to her as that woman that was killed. Are you with me? We're not going to say the lady that was murdered, the woman that was killed. No, we're going to say her name. Hellen Kamutumbe. Hellen Kamutumbe. Hellen was brutally murdered in a primitive part of this nation that is occupied by superstitious, demon-filled, demon-possessed people. Over there in Kalumbila, in a little area there, that took it upon themselves to openly murder a woman by falsely accusing her of doing something that she has no capability of doing, or anyone has the capability of doing. The accusation was that there was a young man by the name of Prince something. You know, how dare you be named? I mean, the name Prince is too heavy for you. It's too majestic for you. This young man named Prince falsely accused a woman of making his private parts, okay? It's ridiculous. Even saying it, I'm embarrassed that there are people out there who believe this nonsense. You know, he falsely accused this woman of making his private parts disappear. He worked the people in the community, he worked them into a frenzy. He incited them to literally beat this woman to death. Halfway through, he realized, wait a minute, I've done the wrong thing here. This is no longer fun and jokes. This is no longer, patty cake, baker man. They're about to kill this woman, and I'm the reason they're about to do it. So in a ditched effort to stop the mob, and how many people know you can't stop the mob? Because they're rabid dogs, mate. The mob is a conglomeration. It is a congregation of rabid dogs. You can't stop them. You can't reason with the mob. And because you couldn't reason with the mob, they overpowered him, even though he was the one that set off the match. He was the one that ignited the fire, and when it turned into a bushfire, he didn't know what to do. But by that time, the crowd had already been worked into a frenzy, and they brutally murdered this woman. Mob killing. And let me digress here for a moment and just mention something to you that I think is extremely important. I was talking to Mr. Davis Chishala. He's an aspiring member of parliament for Chiengi there in Wapula. He wants to be MP on the UPND ticket. Him and I were talking, and he said to me, he said something that I think we all need to hear. At first glance, you may not think that this is extremely important. But the more you hear it, the more you realize how big of the piece of the puzzle this really is. The more you hear it, the more you realize how vital this information is. The more you hear it, the more you realize how critical this information is. And it's this. Davis Chishala, aspiring MP for Chiengi there in Wapula, under UPND ticket, he said to me, he said, Mr. Mwewa, if you look at the demographic of those young people there in Kalumbila, the ones that surrounded this woman, Hellen Kamutumbe, the ones that surrounded Hellen Kamutumbe, they were younger than 30 years old. They were younger than 30 years old. This is a group of, many of them were juveniles, young adults, young Zambians, kids, children. Davis Chishala said to me, Davis Chishala is the aspiring MP for Chiengi, there in Wapula, under UPND. He said, now we need as parents to sit down with our children and start teaching them that when you are outside playing or wherever you are, whether you're in town or you're playing in the neighborhood or you're at your friend's house, or wherever you are, whenever you hear a commotion, people shouting, screaming, if you're in town and you hear someone say, Kabolala, and you find a crowd surrounding someone and they're beating him to a pulp. As parents, tell your children, run away from those instances. Move away from any type of commotion. Never hear a commotion and allow curiosity to get the best of you, and you go there. Why twala? Why ni chimpwena? Pa kai Muzambia why di be chimpwena chatala mona. Muna Muzambia makamaka muna mutaun. Ichimpwena diva. Hapa liponse chinshi achashani alikuisha uyu achashani achiva chipayeni Muzambia mwali be chimpwena. We need to teach our children to not engage in ichimpwena. Ichimpwena wa Afrika wa ambokulu. Because now, when they photograph you standing in a crowd of not only agitators, but potential killers, you will be named amongst them. As we say in Zambia, amongst them. It's actually amongst, but in Zambia we say amongst them. The Apostle Paul said it this way. He said, let this not be named amongst you. Remember that? For those of you Christians, you Pentecostal Christians. If you're not Pentecostal, you won't get that. The Apostle Paul said under the unction and the anointing of the Holy Spirit, he said, let not this be named amongst you. The same thing applies. We as parents, we need to sit down with our children. I did it last night. I sat down with my children and I said, guys, you know, the world is not sunshine and rainbows anymore. The country, the temperature in this country has changed. The temperature in Zambia has evolved, and we have to evolve with it. When you hear some type of commotion, fracas, noise, kerfuffle, kafwafwa, in English it's kerfuffle. Muchibe mani kafwafwa. Nga waumfwafye kafwafwa. Wangwangu wafmap. Very quickly you abstract yourself, you divorce yourself from that arrangement. Wataluka, you stand far away. ekutaluka, muchibemba kutaluka, muchisungu, distance yourself. So that nga kwabo omulandu ati yo pali chite na chite, you are not named amongst them. Bane iyo message ba Davis Chishala, aspiring member of parliament for Chiengi, over there in Luapula, under the UPND ticket. His words are very timely, very important. Talk to your children. As aba fyashi mule ikala na abana mwalanda nabo bana bandi mule chitefi nefi nga mwamfafye chongo mwataluka mwila palamayo. Distance yourself, don't go near there, because with the advent of this device kukukopa bantu inchito ya mutawuni nomba kukopa na kukopewa elio nga bakuchitaka pucha papikicha pachikope. The police are just bala kukusa, bala kuchita kusix, bala kukusa nenchita shaleko. Very important lesson. Tell me in the comments if that resonates with you. Tell me. Hey, River Chandler, I see you. Alex says, Mr. Mwewa, I think they need to introduce a sensitization department. Alam, icho chintu icho. Lekeni mbele ngana futi. Alex Silweya says, Mr. Mwewa, and I agree with this. He says, Mr. Mwewa, I think they need to introduce a sensitization department in the police service. Sani, Ninsani, Ninani, Alex said, Sani. That is correct. That is correct. Zambia police are sitting on their laurels. Zambia police is singing Kumbaya whilst holding hands, thinking the world is sunshine and rainbows. No. Zambia police needs to get off of its laurels. Get out of that bed of lethargy and do something for a change. The temperature in this country has changed. It's evolved, and you have to evolve with it. Be proactive. Sensitize the public. Go out there, launch a nationwide campaign against sensitizing the public about mob killings. Come on, man. Come on. Get with the program. Yeah? All right. Mwangala Joe. Hey, Mwangala Joe. Haven't seen you in forever. Mwangala Joe says, extremely true, and it's true everywhere in the world. I'm in Atlanta, and I got to talk to my 16-year-old child. Yes. Now, who America, they've got their own set of issues. Just like Mwangala is saying, she's got a 16-year-old child. She has to talk to her child. There are certain things that only a parent can provide guidance. Umwana uakwata 5 umufyashinga alanda alomfwa. A parent that is completely aware of his or her surroundings. When you speak to your child understands what you are saying. So don't take it lightly. So I think in my view, that is a very important component. Speak to your you that are watching me right now. It doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter which demographic you fall under. When you get home tonight, sit your children down. Talk to them. Say to them, my children, this is a matter of life and death. This is a matter of your freedom. This is a matter of just in and out. It's either you're in or you're out. If you do the wrong thing, you go in. Anyway, I can imagine, but I'm telling you, I mean, it's different for us who are older. You know, I can't imagine the pain, God forbid, the pain of seeing a 17, 18-year-old child going to prison. That is what will happen if you don't talk to your children. They'll be overtaken by events. and find themselves in a quagmire. No, nenzo sonjera chabe. Nenzo sonjera chabe. Sonjera. Oh, wale sonjera fie. Te hapana mbana wakuikata. Na wakuchita implicate. You have been implicated. By virtue, guilty by association. That is what it's called. You are guilty by association. That is the thing. So what is the lesson? When you hear any commotion, very quickly you run away. Tell your children very quickly. Chokako wasafunza nofunza achichirisha nyukwe adio na bale mupuma ndafinisha chitile kaya mayo tule hatumunewe tuye tulengene kulia huyu ngefe bamupofula amenso bafumya bamusobola. While you are doing that, someone is cooperating you. Twakumona pa social media ulechira nefi. Picture nomba ya nomba na viral. Mwana Ntwani ali pa social media na bamukopa. Inga ali uyu monene ferechita. Mule angala le chalo. Kala chalo te chako angalira kubane. You understand that? Okay. Point made. What's the other thing? What did I say? About Brian Mundubile. You guys heard that Brian Mundubile. Brian, he really thinks that because he has reportedly scooped a position in a PF faction-led conglomerate, he thinks that he's the be-all and end-all. And in all fairness, he's fine to think that because he's an opposition leader. But I find it so funny and curious. Did you see his encounter with Paramount Chief Mpzenzeni? Did you hear what Mpzenzeni said to him? He said, "No, but you, Brian, what are you going to do different from what HH is doing? What are you doing?" Because he's doing things. When you say you want to come back, what are you going to do that he hasn't done? Because he's doing it. So you want to replace him for what? For what? I mean, what are you talking? I mean, what is the deal here? Well, Brian and then Mwewa Zulu, bless his heart. Mwewa is one lost sheep. Honestly, really. He is out in the wilderness. He doesn't know his left from his right, his right. He doesn't even know what's going on. I bet you sometimes he wakes up in a cold sweat at 12 o'clock at midnight thinking, what the hell am I doing, man? Because all they're doing is not only are they fragmenting the PF vote, you're just disintegrating it. You can't. If you've got 5 PF supporters, 5, and you've got 4 different PF factions, you're not going to get 5 votes. You're not. That is simple math. It is. And so I'm beginning to think that these guys are vying for the positions of president because they know that once they are declared presidential candidates, they get the perks. You know, people that believe in them start to give them money. So it's a flex. I think it's just it's a political flex to say, no, Mwewa Zulu can now very proudly stand in front of the camera and say, I'm an elected official of the PF faction that was once led by Given Lubinda, that is now led by Fwebene. And then the guards, you know, the bodyguards, the details, you know, the security detail of Mwewa Zulu. Oh, they love this. These are kids in their minds. There's no, Peter wakateka balipita. President, it's all a flex. It's a flex. It is. It's an infinitesimal flex, and it's just all just for title. It's got nothing to do with service to the country. It's got nothing to do with offering checks and balances. It's got everything to do with regaining power at all costs by any means necessary. Anyway, I wish them the best, you know, but there's just shooting in the dark. America, according to the Department of State under African Affairs, there's a guy over there in America, from the American Embassy. I think his name is Nick Charter. Have you heard of Nick Charter? You know, there's this story that was swirling around that America had proposed to the Zambian government a health wealth exchange deal. The report was America had offered Zambia $1 billion health package in exchange for America's access to Zambia's mineral wealth. That was the story. Well, Nick Charter from the American Embassy, according to the Department of State, the United States Department of State website, Nick Charter says no such thing has happened. Nick says unequivocally, he says, I can tell you unequivocally, no such thing has happened. Our position as America is that we're not trying to take advantage of Zambia in any way. But here's the thing. I personally went to the United States Department of State website. I didn't find that disclaimer. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but if you read that the United States Department of State, a representative from the U.S. Department of State, who in this case is Nick Charter, if you read that Nick Charter has refuted this claim that America is offering Zambia a health wealth deal, if you read the Department of State has said that, it stands to reason that it would be on the website. So I did my due diligence. I went to the website. Honey, I scoured east, west, north, south, left, right, and center. I didn't find that article. I didn't see that in the United States Department of State website. I didn't see it. I would love for you to show it to me. And if that's the case, that's great. But I'm saying for me, I didn't see it. If you saw it, please pin it on here, because I'd love to see it. I did everything I could. Literally, I was scouring the internet to and fro. Here a little, there a little. Precept upon precept. Line upon line. Didn't see it. So stands to reason that, I don't know. I'm still up in the air about that, so I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. And in any case, I think that Nick Charter's rebuttal is too little too late. That has already grown legs. That story has gone everywhere. Everybody knows that story. Everybody believes that story. So whether or not Nick Charter refutes it, Nick over there at the U.S. Department of State under African Affairs, even if Nick refutes it, even if Nick says, no, that's not what we are doing, what is on the ground, what is there, is that that story grew legs. And it's everywhere. That's the story people know. So, America, too little, too late. You fumbled the ball on that one. I will tell you right now. All right. All righty. Let me read a couple of more of your comments and that's it. I need to go. I got stuff to do. Stacy, I see you. Yeah, it's already grown legs. You know where I got that from? Oprah Winfrey was interviewing Michael Jackson. And this is where that phrase, that story grew legs. And Oprah asked Michael Jackson about this. There's a story that came out in the 80s that Michael was trying to reverse the aging process, and that he was sleeping in what they called a hyperbaric chamber. Not bolic, baric, a hyperbaric chamber. You know, and there was a very famous picture. This was back in the 80s. Now you got to remember, this was before the internet. There was a famous picture of Michael Jackson laying in something that looked like a chamber. It was a glass chamber. He was laying in there. And then for years, there was this tabloid story that had said Michael sleeps in this chamber so that he can reverse the aging process and so that he can remain young forever. For years, we believed that story because it was in the domain, public domain, for more than 20 years. Well, finally, when Oprah sat down with Michael and asked him, is it true that you wanted to reverse the aging process? Michael explained the picture. He said, look, there was a year I did a commercial. I did a commercial for Pepsi Cola, and I got burned very badly. You remember that story when Michael's hair it caught on fire? He got burned very badly. It burnt all the way down to his scalp. In those days, we didn't think it was very serious, but later on we realized that was a very bad burn he had. Well, you know, he went to the hospital, and Pepsi Cola paid Michael Jackson $1 million as compensation for that accident. Well, Michael took the $1 million and he built a burn center, you know, for burn victims, people that have gone through, you know, fire and all that. So he built a hospital, and it's called the Michael Jackson Burn Center. It's for burn victims. So Michael says, look, when we opened the hospital, they had an instrument there that was used to help burnt victims. So I went into this little chamber thing. I sat in there, I tinkered around, and I lay down in the thing, and somebody took a picture, and when they took a picture, they attached this lie to that photograph that I was trying to reverse the aging process, when the whole time I was simply inspecting this machine. Then Oprah said, that story grew legs. It was everywhere. But by the time Michael himself explained that story, the whole world had already believed the lie. So what's the lesson there? The lesson is sometimes silence is not golden. Anything that is not refuted, gossip unchallenged becomes fact. Ooh, that's a good one there, boy. Tell you what, go ahead, say that in the comments. Just say that in the comments below. Gossip unchallenged becomes a fact. Ooh, that's deep. That's deep there, boy. That'll put some hair on your chest. As they say in America. In America, they don't say chest. Well, in Ebonics. Black Americans don't say chest. They say chest. No, they don't say chest. They say chest. That'll grow hair on your chest. That's Ebonics for you. So go ahead and just write that in there. Gossip unchallenged becomes fact. So in America's case, by the time Nick Charter and his homeboys came out with a rebuttal talking about how no, we're not trying to exchange health for wealth. By the time Nick Charter and his homeboys came out with that statement, half the country already believes that America is entering in some type of sicko deal with the Zambian government under the health wealth program. That's what it is. Stacy laughing. Can you repeat that, please? Yes, I'll repeat it. Gossip unchallenged becomes fact. It's true. All right. Well, hey, I gotta go. It's 20 after 9. I'm going to UPS. Okay. I'm expecting a package from the United Postal Service. Okay. They've taken long enough. Good Lord. Tell you what, I done grown a beard now. I'm messing with y'all. Yeah, and his homeboys. Hey, Mwing, guys, see you. Thank you so much. Guys, I gotta go. So now I have to stand up and then turn off my thingy. So here's what I do. I'm doing a minimalistic thing now in my office. You know, instead of cluttering the back. So I've got, what is that? Is that a globe? Oh no, that's a little figurine there. Here, I've got that. I've got the Zambian flag. I've got the black man here, the tall black man. I have a little tiny car that's got the British flag on there, and then I've got a plant. I try and not clutter the back, because if it's cluttered, it just looks too busy. So before I do my live, usually I remove a few things, and so that my screen is as minimalist as possible. So now that I'm going to turn off the live, I'm going to stand up and then I'm going to put certain things back. For example, here, let me show you. I'll show you here in a minute. So you see how the back here, you see how that's free. So I take these ornaments, see there, that's like a trumpet. So I'll put it back here, there, and then I'll take this Grammy ornament, see there, and I'll put it back here, like so, right? And then he'll still be here. I'll keep him there. And then sometimes I'll take Mike's album. I have several of these. I've got a couple of these. I've got Thriller and all. I'll put that on there somewhere. You know, I might put it that way, like this here. I might do that. You know, and then sometimes you got to switch it up. You know, like I have my Zamtel Award, Best Vlogger of 2025, SML TV. Thanks to you. Appreciate that. This is a fragrance thing. This is a little fragrance spray. It's very strong. I got this from, what was the name of the place over there at Arcades? It's beautiful. Smells great. Right. This is a little plane that a friend of mine gave me. I walked into his office and I said, I like that plane. And he said, you want it? I said, I'd love it. And he gave it to me. So I put that on there sometimes. Because you don't ever want it too cluttered, you know. I got that. This is my key basket. Okay, when I walk into the office, I throw my keys in the basket. Because the rule is, everything has to have a home. So my keys have a home there. Right. And then here's another little ornament that I like. What do you think of him? Tell me. All right, here's another one here. I gotta show you. I gotta walk around here and show you. Right. Can I tell you my biggest fear? My biggest fear. I always tell Namwinga, there are two ladies that clean our offices here. Simoson head office has 5 people. It's me, the chief accountant, the receptionist, the secretary, you know, and then we have the 2 ladies that clean our offices. My biggest fear, I always tell the ladies, I say, please don't ever break anything in my office. Because I love ornaments. I love things like this. I love this. And I always tell them, please don't break anything in my office. I would be mortified if on my way to work, Namwinga calls me and says, Sa, because she calls me Sa. She says Sa every time. Namwinga, and then she goes, Sa. I would be mortified if Namwinga said to me, Sa, you know that white thing that you put on your table? Yes. Whilst I was cleaning, I knocked it over and it broke. Lord, rapture me now.